His name is Bear, and he is one of the top auctioneers in the Houston area. The Rose was his first gig, and he is still at it 30-something years later. Today, you're going to hear a side of Bear that you've never heard before, and how important the Rose has been to him in his life. I'm Dorothy Gibbons, CEO and co-founder of the Rose, and we're here to talk about your breast. Let's talk about your breast. A different kind of podcast presented to you by The Rose, a breast center of excellence and a Texas treasure. You're going to hear frank discussions about tough topics, and you're going to learn why knowing about your breast could save your life.
All right, I got $25 to be able to be 30. Here, back in $30 to be able to be 35, would have been $40 to be able to be $50. Now $60 to be able to be $70, $80 to be able to be $90, all in and all done. Sold it, $80.
Wow, Bear, how did you learn to do that?
I actually had about 30 seconds notice that I was fixing to be an auctioneer.
And when was that? How did that happen?
I was about 20. I was about 20 years, 19 or 20. There's a song by Leroy Van Dyke called The Auctioneer, and it came out in 1963, the year I was born. From the very first time I heard that song, I was about 8 or 9 years old. In that song, Leroy Van Dyke was a country music singer, but he was also an actual licensed auctioneer. And he went into the auction chant. And as soon as I heard that, bing, I instantly could sing the chant part of where he's at in that song. So advance forward now, I'm 19, 20 years old. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'd like to hear a real auctioneer. So side note, from at about 18, I got a job as a DJ in a nightclub. Okay, I was a club DJ. And so public speaking, talking to the public, being on a microphone, I had a couple of years experience with that. Never even thinking that has anything to do with it. Well, a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, Bear, I'd like for you and your dad and your brothers to please come on up and help me. We're having a benefit and they're going to do an auction, and I want you guys to come help me catch bids." And I'm like, wow, this is my first opportunity to go hear a real auctioneer like the guy that's been in the song. So we show up, we go up, it's the day of, we're out there on the floor, crowd's in the place, everybody's ready to go. And my buddy walks up and goes, "Oh man, we're in trouble." I said, "What happened?" He says, "The auctioneer's not here." And this was before cell phones. Those of you that are listening, yes, there was a time when we didn't have cell phones and pagers and all of that kind of stuff. So this is where I'm talking about. So they didn't have all of that. And my dad just looked at my friend and said, "Oh, that's no problem. Bear, you can do it. Get up there on that microphone and sing that damn song that you have aggravated the hell out of your family with for all of your life." And I went, "Okay, I'm in." So I literally turned around, walked off, went up on the stage, grabbed the microphone and said, "Hey folks, we're going to get started with the live auction now." And we had already knew who the payment people were and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of went through that and went right into the first item. And after that auction, I had two people walk up to me and ask me if I was the same auctioneer that did the Huffman horse sale. And I went, "Oh my God, these people think I know what the heck I'm doing." So I went, "No, but I've heard him and I think he's really, really good. And I've tried to pattern myself after him because he's a great auctioneer." I had no idea who the guy was.
I knew it.
I'm kind of like,
I knew you didn't.
Yes, I think that is exactly correct. And that's what I was trying to do here. And I was like, and then I remember walking out and going, "Oh my God, those people think I know what I'm doing." And then somebody called and they needed me to come do another one and then do another one and then do another and yet another and another and another. And all of that stuff was all experience for me to build up to have those life experiences and working in the auction business to set me up to come to work for the Rose. And I see it now, but I didn't see it then. But I'm so blessed. And my dad, I love my dad. My dad's still alive, and he's probably going to be listening to this. I love you, Pops. He's the guy that just kind of went, "Oh, yeah, Bear's got it." Because I'd already been a DJ for 2 years. I was a mobile DJ for 35 years subsequent to that. But Dad was like, "Well, he knows how to talk to the public. He's not mic shy. He knows how to sing that song. Yeah, he's got this. Bear, go up there and do that. And then 2 people asked me if I was the same guy that did the Huffman horse sale. I was like, oh, I'm on to something here.
You're on to something.
This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. Did you actually sing the song up there?
No, ma'am.
No. I'm going to have to go find that song.
It's called the Auctioneer Song, and it's by Leroy Van Dyke. Go check it out.
I will do it. Thank you so much. That's great to know.
That's how I became an auctioneer.
An auctioneer. So, Bear, you have been the auctioneer for the shrimp boil, the Rose's shrimp boil, for 35 years. In fact, you were our first one to ever do a live auction. Now, do you remember any of that back then?
I remember that clearly. You guys, when I first got into doing auctions, I actually was doing a lot of medical fundraisers, medical benefits, and it was something I was just kind of a hobby. But being able to interact with the Rose, and I remember I talked to y'all, and y'all said, why don't you come do that for us? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be cool. This is where real auctioneers go. Because during that time frame, it was just kind of a hobby for me. And then I went, oh my gosh, these people want me to do what real auctioneers do. And then I came in and I went to work, and we got together that first time, and I was like, well, I guess I'll know if I did okay if they asked me to come back. And then y'all asked me to come back the next year, and I was so thrilled. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what real auctioneers do. And it just kind of took off from there. And of course, like I say, that was 35 years ago. You know, I was in my mid-20s, late 20s. And it was just an incredible experience. But I absolutely do remember. And I remember the thrill of just the honor and the blessing before I actually knew the history of what you guys do and the absolute amazing folks that you are. I was just thrilled that somebody believed in me enough to let me do it twice. and then here we are, 35 years later. And I'm still just as humbled and just as honored to be a part of it.
Well, now being an auctioneer is a full-time job for you.
It is now, yes, ma'am.
And I don't think there's anyone in Pasadena, Texas that doesn't know Bear the auctioneer. And I don't think there's anyone that you don't know. I have watched you work a crowd, and how do you do that? How do you keep people from feeling like you're picking on them when you're working a crowd?
It's passion. It's passion. It's energy. I guess I'm just kind of blessed with that fun, frolicky type personality. I will tell you that I've done auctions in biker bars, and those people are off the chain. I mean, just going all the way up. I have punked out big bikers from up on stage.
Oh, my goodness.
And they just laugh. They think it's funny.
Yeah, well, you make it fun, Bear.
Well, I try to.
And getting people to part with their money. I love the way that you said anything you're selling, you can auction. I just thought that was so good. And you've had some unusual things to auction for the Rose.
We have some unusual things, and then we have some really stellar things too. And I believe Miss Ella Thomas, that makes usually makes the Afghans or the quilts. Mm-hmm. Ella and I had a connection in a whole different lifetime, and she hates when I talk about that. So that's why I want to talk about that.
All right.
So if you're listening, Ella, who loves you, baby? But Ella is such an amazing individual, and she's an amazing quilt maker. And I'll never forget the one that she made that had the country theme to it. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple of people in the audience, and I just managed to kind of get them locking horns, and let's see who's got the biggest wallet. And we ended up selling that thing for $10,000 to a gentleman from Ohio.
Yes.
And the only thing I could think of is, oh my gosh, Ella's going to be so embarrassed whenever we look at that and we start talking about how cool that was, because she doesn't want anybody talking about her.
No, she doesn't even want any attention. So
she does not.
That was
again, which is why I'm being annoying and defiant here. Good. Because I love me some Ella.
So if you had to take a guess, how much just plain old money do you think you've raised for nonprofits or just for the Rose? All right, let's put it in perspective. Most of the live auction fundraisers that we've had, especially in the last 10 years, exceed $30,000. Sometimes even closing to more to 40.
If you just use the average of 30,000 and you do it times 30 years.
Yeah. Now I don't know we had it in the first years, but
that's what I'm saying. Just for nice round numbers. I mean, you're looking at that's about 900,000. So, and that's kind of a conservative estimate, and that's just for the rows. And that is, and I want to stress something here that people come up to me and say, Bear, you're a great auctioneer and blah 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 and all of this stuff, and I love that, and I truly appreciate that, and I'm humbled by that. But I also want to make sure that we talk about all of the people that gave that $900,000. Mm-hmm. I can stand up in front of a microphone and I can quip and I can joke around and I can talk fast and, be goofy. But without the people, the supporters, the ones that love you, that show up with their time and with their financial resources and ready to give them, I mean, if it's not available, then I can't get it. We can't bring it in. And so the people that are in the audience, that are the bidders, the folks that are actually like Ella's, that are making something to present to the crowd to get those resources coming in, those are truly the heroes. And I'm blessed and I'm honored to be on the stage and be able to be a part of that. But I certainly want to make sure that we recognize both sides of that those people, those bidders, are truly the big heroes that are helping to bring the ones that are bringing in all that money.
So I so appreciate you saying that, because I've always said the Shrimp Bowl is the only thing I know, the only event I know where people actually bring things and then pay good money to eat there, and then they buy it through the auction. It's incredible. I mean,
who was the lady that brought the cake? Brought a cake in. Yeah. I think she brought a cake in, and I don't remember who exactly the buyer was, but I want to say the cake went for like $600 or $700.
It did.
And then they wanted to make some sort of an announcement about cake for sale at their table for $50 a slice or something like that. And I was like, those are such fun people. And that is, it's the energy, the success of the auction industry itself is energy. It's about building that energy. And when you have such great folks, great bidders and buyers like that, and the folks that are making those things, it really is so super easy to build the energy.
Yeah. I always say the Shrimp Boil is like going to a big family reunion with 800 people as your closest family members. Everybody knows each other, and it is our largest fundraiser. It always comes at the end of our fiscal year, so we always count on it being the last little bit to help us make budget, and it has meant so much to us. We get to honor the survivors. We have, like you said, we have fun.
The lady that does the tandem skydive, it's like, oh my gosh, you can't just go out there and have an opportunity to have that experience and at the same time be able to have the resources from that go to help people that you'll never even know, people that never know. So that money that comes in from that. So you were asking a while ago about some of the more unique things. The tandem skydive is another one. That's incredible.
Yes, and that's Marion Sparks, and she started Jump for the Rose, and she gets up there with you and talks about how much fun it is. And I have done one. Have you ever done one?
I have not.
Oh, we may have to get you there.
It is on my bucket list that I do want to skydive. I also want to hang glide and want to go dove hunt in Argentina. I've got
just a few things.
Just a few things.
So, Bear, before all the years that you came out and volunteered, and now that you're licensed, now you're a real auctioneer. You did it because of the community support. You did it because you knew what the Rose was about. You knew we serve the community. We are not national. We're local. You give your money local. We give it back local. But recently, you've had a whole different experience with the work that we do in breast cancer. And I appreciate that you said, you're okay with sharing, and your beautiful bride, Becky, is okay with
wife,
it?
Becky, is okay with us.
So now, how long have y'all been married?
April.
Oh, no.
I tell people we got married April the 22nd and 23rd. And they're like, wait a minute, what happened? Well, and I tell people, because in the beginning, I kept saying we were getting married on the 23rd. We've been married 6 years, okay, just this past April 22nd. But I kept getting the date wrong in the beginning. So, I'm going to come up with a funny story. And I tell people that on April the 22nd, I actually ended up getting a call for an auction on my wedding day. So I told Becky, you just go ahead and go do your part on the 22nd. I'll be at work, and then I'll swing by the church on the 23rd and do my part. And then I'll see you in Costa Rica on Monday. And
Bear, you did not.
If I'm not making this up, Dorothy, I wish I was. So that's why I tell people say, well, when did y'all get married? I said, well, she did her part on the 22nd. I did mine on the 23rd.
Unbelievable.
But it was, but we got married on April the 22nd. So we've been married 6 years, and she has been an absolute godsend to me. And we got touched by breast cancer. She was recently diagnosed at the end of 2022.
But thank heavens it was one of the least aggressive. It was one of those that responds very quickly to treatment.
It was ER/PR plus and HER2 negative. The oncologist at MD Anderson now, Becky went to Anderson because she has already had a long life history. She goes to MD Anderson about every 6 months.
And they are great partners to the Rose.
Absolute great partners to the Rose. And then whenever this thing happened, came up in one of her mammograms, they're kind of like, oh, okay. So, I mean, she was already in the system, and it was just real easy. And we were blessed by that. We were absolutely blessed by that. But I do recall her oncologist saying that in the cancer world, that this is probably the most treatable. We've had the most exposure. We've had the best prognosis long term. So we were kind of try to find a blessing, in the negativity of it all. That was kind of a blessing to us as well.
Were you with her when she got the diagnosis?
Yes, ma'am. They said that she had found something, and then they actually called her and told her that she actually had, that it was cancerous, and that she'd have to have it biopsied, or they had it biopsied. They found out it was cancerous, and then took it into the next levels. So it was eye-opening. Mm-hmm. It was eye-opening. And I do recall at one point through that whole experience with her, thinking, my gosh, how many women at the Rose? How many times has the Rose had to deliver that kind of news? The folks here at the Rose, y'all have always, because you've always been. I mean, you're the very first one. I mean, you're the very first time I got to be a real auctioneer. You kind of validated me, and I was like, I always appreciate what you guys do, and I always have, and I know that we have a like mindset because I'm always about benefit to the community as well. And then it was just kind of surreal how it really showed me a different side of what the potentials are here at the Rose.
I know Bear as a take charge, get it done. If it's a problem, we'll fix it. If we're running late, it's okay. I mean, it's all those things that you are that makes you such a larger-than-life person, and that gets, that has such a following and all of those things. But this wasn't going to be something you could fix. How did that part of Bear feel?
In the very beginning, the very first thing I said to Becky when we had the conversation, and she said, babe, I'm afraid I've got bad news. It came back and it's cancer. The very first thing I said was, do we need to go clean out the cabinets and take out all the sugars and, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what do you mean by that? And so I kind of went into that, and she's like, whoa, hold up. And we had a very good conversation, and it became obvious to me that the absolute best place for me is in the support role for her. It's her decision. It's her body. It's her things to do. She did ask me how I felt about certain things, and she listened to them. But ultimately, I couldn't be the go out and, couldn't go out and beat it up with a stick, or go talk to it and tell it to, get the hell out of our lives. I mean, I couldn't do anything with it. So it was it was a different place for me as well. Mm-hmm. That, hey, just every day, honey, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? Sometimes there were answers and sometimes there weren't. And I just had to take care, just lots and lots and lots more prayer, mm-hmm. lots more prayer than normal. Mm-hmm. I pray every day, but I was almost in constant prayer from that point on.
And Becky was young.
She is younger than me. Mm-hmm. She's 5 years younger than I am.
So this is mid-50s, 50-ish. I think she just celebrated a mid-50s.
She's perfectly fine with me telling her story about this, but we would probably have a whole different conversation if I actually announced her age here.
Oh, my goodness.
I love you, honey.
Well, we can.
Right. Anyway, let's just go with mid-50s.
Yes. And she's a lovely person. But the point is, lovely. That's when you're in your prime of your life. That's when you can finally say, it's time for me, time to live. So,
yes, ma'am.
And y'all are fairly newlyweds. I mean, that first couple of years you were with her, you were like a kid.
Absolutely.
And I still see that.
And I've always been a pretty active person. And I think when we were dating, and she's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I know who this guy is. I know so he can talk real fast and he sells stuff. So far, she's still hung on for the ride, and I'm so blessed with that. Prior to she and I getting together, their family property is down in Yorktown, Texas, and she used to be able to go about twice a month. And now here we're lucky if we get to go once every other month. So, and she has been such a great trooper, and that's part of the reason why on the times when I don't have anything going on a weekend, I am absolutely fine with heading down there, because I know that that's her zen spot. Mm-hmm. More especially now that with the cancer, and she has come through it. She's come through it fine. We actually continued to get good positive reinforcement in the aftercare post surgery. She needs that focus. She needs that zen, and she supports me in a lot of things that I do. And this is just the opportunity for me to do the same for her. So for any partners that might be listening to this podcast, if you're not the one that actually has the cancer, if you're the support person in the relationship, just be there and just ask, and realize that you can't, from the support perspective, you really can't do anything other than maybe post. Of course, you can help change bandages or things like that. But the biggest thing is to just be there for them. Mm-hmm. Just talk to them. Be there to let them talk to you. And sometimes when they're angry and they're having bad days, or they're why me and all that stuff, be that sounding board to help them internally work through this path. And hopefully it'll work out as great for you as it has for me and my beautiful wife.
Oh, that's great advice, Bear.
It's from the heart.
I'm so touched that you shared that part. A lot of couples have trouble with that support. And many times the woman doesn't know what she needs. And that's even more frustrating for a lot of men, because they, like we said, need a task. Give me something I can do. And so that patience, you're not a patient person, I don't think. But
who?
You.
Me personally?
Yeah.
I've been told many times I have the patience of Job.
Wow.
I tend to want to take care of things immediately, because if I put them off, I don't know what I'm going to have to do later. Mm-hmm. So I want to get things taken care of to keep myself available to address the unknowns and the uncertainties of the future. But there are times when it's kind of like, you know what, bud, this one just ain't going to fit in that category. And I just kind of stay in prayer, stay in communication with my wife, like I said, with Becky. And I agree with what you said. I think there are probably a lot of women or a lot of people that when they come down with cancer, more especially the women come down with the breast cancer, gentlemen, if she doesn't know where she wants to go, just give her a minute, let her collect her thoughts, whether that minute might be a month long, let her collect her thoughts, let her kind of figure it out, and just be there to talk to her and be that sounding board. And to the ladies, don't be afraid to talk to your husbands. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to talk to your partners about this. And even if the first couple of times it doesn't quite mesh, the two of you work together and make it mesh. Sometimes women aren't good at talking about their feelings, or men aren't good at hearing that, or anytime like you said, the man just, woman have problem, man kill problem, sometimes they want to be that way. Mm-hmm. Guys, just understand that this is a great opportunity for you to experience a different side of yourself that you're going to be very, very happy that you found. That's personal experience.
Do many men come to you who have a wife going through this and ask you questions?
I've had a few, mm-hmm. but...
women always go and find someone to talk to.
For the most part, kind of like, Becky and I we're pretty much both the same. Not so much that we just didn't want to share it with a lot of people. We shared it with our inner circle, our sphere mm-hmm. of influence. Mm-hmm. We shared it with them and talked to them about it. And of course, they came to us about it. But as far as like really going out there and just being real public with it, this is the most public that we've done.
Oh, so now I'm the one that's honored. My goodness, Bear.
Yes, ma'am, because we talked about it. She and I talked about it, and she said she was fine with it. So, but I have had some men come to me and just kind of ask about, so how was it, Mm-hmm. And Becky's talked to other folks about her experience, other ladies about her experience as well.
I think that is also part of that support circle. Just knowing someone else has been through it, or, being able to talk about the different things. We've had several survivors on this program, and it's always amazed me that the smallest things that upset us during that time, or that don't work during that time, or that don't feel good during that time, that's what we worry about. Worry. And then when you hear that someone else has had it, then it makes it better. We really, as people, need each other. We really need connections.
We do.
And I am so glad you are willing to talk about that and share that.
It's not me. It's my beautiful wife. She is okay with me talking about this. So the honor and the glory go to her.
Well, Bear, we have many more shrimp boils to go.
Good.
And you were with us in your 20s. My goodness me, I didn't even know any of this story, so I'm so tickled to hear it. And been with us 34, 35 years. Where do you see another 50 years? Do you think the Rose will still be with a bear of some kind, having auctions?
Probably the biggest change that I see, so we're 2023. So in 2073, probably going to have to put a ramp on the side of the stage so they can wheel me up there in my wheelchair. We're going to need lower microphones. But other than that, I pretty much see that it's still going to be the absolute beautiful thing that it is. And the seeds were planted so long ago, and it's grown to the mighty oak that it is now. I just see it as a bigger, stronger, much mightier oak. And yeah, maybe talking a little bit funnier back then, but as long as I can go 25 would have been $30,000 and $35,000 would have been $40,000. Well, then I don't know any reason why I shouldn't.
I don't either. Oh, Bear, it's been such a joy to be with you today, and I love your stories. And you've given us a little taste of what that shrimp boil is like. Yes. And so,
if you don't mind, there's one thing that keeps going through my mind with. If we can kind of go back to being serious about people that have had cancer,
yes.
For people that had cancer on both sides, you and your partner, the woman and her partner, be it a husband, domestic partner, whatever relationship you have. A wise man once told me, you can never move to your future when you're anchored in your past. So when you have this, when you're going through this cancer, deal with it. And then once you're done dealing with it, understand that you're just managing it to keep it out of your future, but always be moving toward your future and think about cancer in terms of being something that you overcame to get to where you are today, and have that thought every day, even years down the road. Yes, I dealt with cancer a long time ago. It's in my past. Keep that positive mindset and keep moving forward.
Best advice I've heard in a long, long time.
Back to Shrimp Bowl 2073. I'm pretty sure I'm open. If you'd like for me to get that on my schedule, I'll be more than happy to.
Yeah, I don't even know if we've got a date yet, but we certainly want you to be there.
I'll put it in pencil so we can change it in 2073.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bear.
You're so welcome. And Miss Dorothy, I want to say too that all of the folks that I've met here are such absolute incredible angels. So folks, understand that the Rose works on an ability to pay. So if you're listening to this podcast and you have any sort of apprehension about whether or not they can help you, if you don't ask the question, the answer is always no. So give these ladies a call. There are reasons why they do the shrimp boil. There are reasons why there's been almost $1 million coming in from the community to this organization, and it's to help you, the ladies that are listening. So give them a call. Give them a call and let's see what we can do to help you.
Thanks, Bear.
I love you, ladies. Y'all are truly my angels.
Oh, well, you've certainly been an angel to us. It's
been a beautiful relationship, and we're both about what can we do to help our community. Mm-hmm. And so it's absolutely it doesn't baffle me that we were all brought together somehow, universally, cosmically. I'm blessed to have it. So thank you so much for having me as a part of this. Thank you for all of the many wonderful years. And I look forward to the years that we get to move forward and continue to help people that don't even know that they're going to need it yet.
Until our next shrimp bowl, and we'll have Auctioneer Bear up there telling you what we have to offer. Thank you again, Bear.
You're quite welcome, ma'am. God bless.
Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk About Your Breasts. This podcast is produced by Speak Podcasting and brought to you by The Rose. Visit therose.org to learn more about our organization. Subscribe to our podcast, share episodes with friends, and join the conversation on social media using hashtag Let's Talk About Your Breasts. We welcome your feedback and suggestions. Consider supporting The Rose. Your gift can make the difference to a person in need. And remember, self-care is not selfish. It's essential.